everybody. Oh my God. This is where with Nicholas. Can we talk about lifestyles? It's filled comedy, music, and stuff.
All right.
We are with
doing it.
with Dan Killian. Dan Killian from the Million Man Band, from the K's. Your comedy podcast. We're going to talk about creativity, but let me introduce you to my friend Dan. Oh wow! Before we get into this, before I introduce Dan, I want to tell you a little bit about Dan. My information, my connection with Dan. I started out as a music journalist in New Jersey, just independent, just interviewing and reviewing hip hop bands and indie rock bands. And I get a package from this band called the K's, and it's an album called Can't Get It Together. It's an underground album. It's indie rock. It wasn't made in some like huge studio or anything like that. It was tons of people. There's a fire to this album. There's a humor to this album. There's a sound, a rawness to this album. Most of all, there's a passion. I got a bunch of people together. They made an album full of really cool, unique songs dealing with addiction, love, politics, and a lot of humor. And throughout the years, I followed this guy. I became Nicholas Tannick. I wrote The Coolest Way to Kill Yourself, Chip Black Nail Polish, and Your Kinky Friends. And I did all these interviews. And all this time, I'm listening to Dan Killian, to the K's, and then his other band, Dan Killian and the Million Man Band. I fell in love. And the song Airborne became like a song that kind of just resonated with us. I am so thankful. And I hope that you will be inspired by the creativity, the artistry, the musicianship, and just the comedy of this guest we have. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Killian from the K's and Dan Killian and the Million Man Band. Please welcome Dan Killian. How are you, Dad? What's going on?
I'm doing better than usual. I'm doing good. I think I'm happy to be in the interview with you. I notice you're back on the screen. You're kind of back. You're casual. I'm all in, but I think that's a good contrast.
All right.
We gotta have two different head shapes, going.
Yeah.
That's
true.
I'm getting some wings going, so I might start flying. My head might become airborne as the conversation progresses. I'm in a pretty good shape. I go through a lot of mood swings. It's funny. You've been on a real journey, and I tend to stay in the same place, but mentally go up and down pretty hard. So that's what it is with me.
What's inspiring you these days?
I don't know if inspiring is the word. I am writing a lot of songs about the person in the White House. The thing that's happening to the country is I'm trying not to write agitprop. I'm trying to still turn it into teenage girls, but boy, I don't like these particular teenage girls. They are fascists, and it's hard to talk about a fascist chick, but I think that's one of the things we talked in our prep is the idea of turning your problems into teenage girls. So if you're depressed, it's a girl who's making you a teenage girl. Because I'm trying to write the great American hit song all the time. Every time I'm trying to write a dinger,
Mm-hmm.
And they're not all of them ding. But if I hit you, I got you. So someone's listening.
We're going to talk all about that stuff. So your website, you describe yourself as a singular character who writes smart, funny, and songs for misfits. Now, the word misfit's interesting. Now, how do you define a misfit? And how does that shape your music?
Well, clearly, if you look at my numbers, I'm not hitting the fits. So anyone that's listening to me is likely to be an oddball misfit. The kind of you're kind of, before they got big, your Tom Waits, your Randy Newman fans, the people that like something a little bit left of field. And some of that's just ad copy, But I'll take the squares. You know,
Oh yeah.
but right now it's the oddballs like my stuff. A very select cult of fans. That
One thing
I'm the best kept
I
secret. So
I
uh,
do I want to talk about. One thing I do want to talk about is Sunday service. Now, I haven't talked to you. I was kind of unfair, and I kind of want to. I want to apologize because I have more style and tact and etiquette than you know. So basically, I reached out to you. I started a show with Kate West and Nico Noir. Shout out to them. And it's an experimental whimsy show. And I don't know if you know anything about your kinky friends YKF.
Father Nick and Saint Kate
Trying
and
to take it,
Headmistress
yes.
Nico.
Mistress Nico, yeah. We oh wow, we had some fun. And basically it was just kind of like a chaos show. And some of the people, I was just like out of the liver transplant, happy to be alive in this frenzy. And
Good
I
to be
just want
alive.
to get people together. I'm so thankful to be a part of the kink community. I have friends and I'm alive. And I'm like, all right, let's just start something. Let's just see where it goes. It's the basic whimsical premise. Kate West called me up and was like, we should do a show called Sunday Service, meet every Sunday and be like a church thing. And it's not really blasphemous, but, it's just kind of tongue in cheek humor, while everyone's going to church, we're doing this. And I'm like, it's cool. Great idea. And
You
it,
guys, you got no. I'm a Catholic heretic myself, but it does strike me as that you guys got to be all Catholics, right?
well, yeah,
Perhaps, but the whole idea of like let's talk about our sex lives, together in a community, that does seem somehow church-like, just
yeah.
the inverse of, instead of the don't do it, it's the do it, but still the same kind of uh
So
diocese
I'm curious
driven.
when, as an
Let your
outsider.
and with your kinky friends, go and set a date with Father Nick and Saint Kate and Headmistress Nico. Speak of the devil, gonna take your freaking to the next level. It's a Sunday service, Here come the ministers of Sunday service. It's a Sunday service. Don't we all deserve this? Get out. It's a theme song, I think it ends pretty soon after that, but
Oh yeah, totally.
tried to make it short, tried to make it a theme song, was taking a stab at it. And you can tell I'm a square because of like just the minor key spookiness of it all. I'm clearly afraid of it all. But I think with that one, definitely the goal was get it short. Didn't quite get it short enough. Still
Great.
a
Loved
little
it.
long. But I gave you some 8-second versions and some 10-second versions. I made an
Oh
EP
yeah, there's
for you.
remixes and
If you could, if you wanted to snippetize that, because it is long. In the age of what's Larry David's, bump, 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 kind of thing. That's a theme song. But that's got it's a distillation of one of my songwriting tricks, which is to have an endless chorus, to start on a verse and then just go into a different shape and have a bridge to nowhere or a chorus to nowhere. And that one it drops down to the lower part. I'm not going to get too music theory on you, but it does drop down to the E minor, which is a spooky chord. And but it already starts out. We're already heavily into the A minor, the spookiest of the chords, and it drops down, and then it modulates slightly up a little bit more once we get to Headmistress Nico. And up, but then we stay up just a little bit more until the end, and then it just keeps going forever.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful, and I love how you use the E chord because it adds a almost like a dirge, like a funeral procession atmosphere in that cool way, that, like in that yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
And the wild thing
you're trying to celebrate sex, and I'm like here with death and spook fear.
Aren't they the same thing?
They're
Aren't
all
they the
part of
same
it.
thing? Yeah. Yeah, no, it was, and I thank you so much for that. And the beauty of it was you did it. And you created that basically out of nothing. You didn't know anything. You didn't know me. You didn't know anything about the show,
Yeah,
and you
a
still
lot
made
of
something.
guesswork involved.
And it was, and it fit, and you worked it. That's a sign of an artist.
I looked at the boots, and I was like, I bet these guys like goth music, So
we did a whole show. Nico and I did a whole show on Depeche Mode for Dungeons, on how all the because we go to the sex dungeons and BDSM dungeons, and they have a lot of that. What's it? Goddess Aurora calls it vampire music. It's like, it's got that slick kind of sound. So let's talk about Bedpop.
Bedpop. It's the new one.
It's your new album. You have a new album out. It's called Bedpop.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Well,
your latest album is described as a sci-fi masterpiece full of love and rage.
Oh no, that's the previous one. That's Angie Pandoris. That's Angie Pandoris. This one, oh yeah, I've totally clearly on my website, I'm still talking about the previous album, and
I'm still talking about my previous book.
Clicking, I'm trying to scroll down on your view saver thing, but this is oh yeah, I got that thing. The pictures below the thing. So what we got is this is a return. The previous album was recorded in that space, the same place. The previous album was recorded with actual musicians, and this is a return to home recording. And this is something I did after the K's. The K's was a live band, and when we sent that album, the K's Can't Get It Together, to you. That was recorded in the same album, same studio, Seizures Palace.
Wow!
With the great Jason Lafarge, Mr. Lafarge.
In New York.
In New York, in Gowanus.
Oh wow!
And we almost called the album "Go On Us," but didn't for 2 seconds before we thought about it. But so that album was a kind of a return to playing with real musicians, different musicians, but in that same place. And this is the kind of a return to like my first solo album, which I made with a kid's keyboard and a bunch of stolen beats and stuff like that. This is a little bit, there's a little bit more organic drumming and but it's done with synthesizers, a lot of it, and some guitars, and it was something I was working on before. I think all my solo albums have been bed pop albums, or bedroom pop is I think the term that people use, and I'm trying to, in my theory, is like to up the ante on bedroom pop by shortening it, condensing it, bed pop, and trying to make it something a little bit more punchy, a little bit more like we're not just apologizing for ourselves. We're because we made it in our apartments. I think that's the future of rock and roll. I think that's the most punk rock thing you can do, is make your own music.
As someone who's like, I was doing music journalism, so I got tons of promos, and with indie rock, it's all that, and hip hop too. People are doing hip hop in their apartment, like they got a microphone like in their closet or something. Outcast and the Dungeon Family in their shower. Their booth was in their shower. You know what I mean? I think Ultra Vivid Scene, friend of the show, Kurt Rawlsky, the friend of the show. The first whole album, most of it was made inside. So that do it yourself. Do it now. Get out. You could literally get out of bed and record a song. You know what I mean? How does that change?
It should be easy. It's so hard.
I know.
These machines. It's like a miracle, and it's freeing. How are my sound levels? Am I bellowing into your ears
Yeah,
there,
you're
by the
good.
way?
You're good.
Okay,
You're
good.
good.
So
Thanks for checking. Appreciate
I
that.
mean, trying to be pro here. You know, the computers, like just now before we got on, I was kind of like running back and forth because I'd actually managed to turn on my other computer that's dying,
Yeah.
and that's where all these songs were, on this other computer that's dying. It's kind of like you can hear the disc in there, kind of like going, you know, and when to get it to come up, to get the screen to come up for you to press the buttons and move the files into your hard drive, that I don't do a good job of backing up my stuff. I don't back up my stuff. i'm
Yeah.
looking I'm looking for complete obscurity. I want to fail on every level, and so I want
Yeah.
all my files to
You
get lost.
you
And
want it to be lost,
so
forgotten.
so
We were
so
all
this
being forgotten. Remember, you
we
wrote
will
that
all be
song.
forgotten. I mean, that is the final message of this thing. But it is, without being a concept, there's a theme. There's a theme of striving in a
Mhm.
world that's dissipating, that's falling apart. That the global warming is going to get us. Clearly more and more, and the fascists are going to get us. But you still got to strive, and you still got to do your thing and try to live. And
I do have to interrupt for a second
mm,
because Nico Noir just stopped in. I just wanted to say hi. Nico Noir continues. Thank you for making such a great song.
the Sunday, we're talking about the Sunday service. Thank you
Yeah,
very
that was a
much.
super fun show. I think he gave me the soul of the show. You gave some soul to the show.
Right. All right.
Yeah. It's
All
the
right.
fucking Bob. See, he's got it's so catchy. It's so good. If Nico Noir likes this, you're doing something right, buddy.
I mean,
Seriously.
that's what that's who you really, that's the audience.
Well, that's a funnier word. Yeah, she's going on.
Saying very nice things. I really appreciate
It's
that.
awesome. Stan Vladimir has a great question. What are your thoughts on AI music?
It'll it's like with all things AI, it'll improve, it'll take a lot of people's jobs away, and it won't. I honestly do think that the clunkier human element will become much more in demand. Um, but it's a tool, and
Yeah.
if you can figure out how to use it, you can give yourself an orchestra. You
Mhm.
can, isolate your vocals. You can't be afraid of this stuff. I don't, will it write hits?
Yeah.
Probably, but I do think
No, and
the weirder stuff is going to become a little bit more in demand as everyone's coming out with a disco orchestra that it sounds perfect. Uh, uh, you know, it can do that. It can put your arranger out of a job, and it will. Um,
I started
and
asking the DOMs about how AI is affecting their work because, I'm even getting
it could probably make porn, right? It could
solicitation.
probably make some great porn.
Right. Yeah. You could have Elon Musk and Donald Trump doing wild things together.
Sucking toes, I mean, if that's your kink, I mean, someone just made something for you. I'm sure
Uh,
there's someone having a pop off to that one. Is that a term? Is that a term?
mm,
Uh,
yeah. So
Okay.
wait, let me ask you this. So back to your album, Bedpop. Let's get back to that before we get to the rest of your stuff. You have a song on there. I'm going to talk about some of the songs. Bedpop, the title track. Um,
It's
Stop.
funny.
Get some supplies, make the bed pop. Yeah,
That's all for you guys. I mean, that's kind of like me imagining like I know what you guys are talking about. I'm a bit of a
it's
square
good.
in the
The
kink community.
surprise at the end of that chorus is makes it catchy and also makes it very satisfying. When because when you sing a chorus, you sing along with it, and it's that last line that how you deliver it and the melody to it. It really delivers it, so it makes it cool to sing along with, which is a
I,
great
I I
song.
do think this new younger generation is hip to lots of Gomer Pyle references. So I was, because I was thinking bed pop. I had this whole little manifesto in my head of like what this is, the next step
Yeah.
for bedroom pop, and then I realized I was calling it bed pop, And I was like, because it's sexier. And I realized I don't really have any sexy songs on the album. It's all about death and some love,
Yeah.
death, and monsters. And so I was like, I gotta write a sexy one. So let me write something, And I kind of had a little bit of you guys in mind when I was doing that, like
I was thinking that.
imagining what we would do, if we got all sexy, and
It was good,
go
and
to a
you
show.
hit the blindfold, you hit the handcuffs,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. Yeah, it's good. It's good. You have another song. A great song is what's it? Two Ways from Sideways. Is the
Three
title?
ways
That's
to
the title. Three
sideways.
Ways to Yeah. Oh my God, that really resonated with me for the line, the wasted line.
I had all the
Time I
time I
wasted.
wasted getting wasted. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
little bit of a drunkard's confessional.
but one of the main songs that really I tear up when I hear it is the final track on the album. We Will All Be Forgotten. Let's talk about that.
I mean,
Um,
that is more than the rest of them. This is all like kind of a cyber rescue operation. Get it out of the computer, get it out onto the world, and especially that one because I don't have the original. I don't have the original program. I think I might have done it in Pro Tools before Pro Tools started crashing my computer. I don't have a great relationship with computers, you might notice, and so it's like I've jumped from Pro Tools Pro Tools would crash my computer. I don't want to dog on the program. It might have just been my tools not being properly lined up. I'm it's always guesswork and magic for me. But I went from that to a different program. I forget what it was called, to Logic. And whatever program I programmed it on, I don't have the original files. Ooh, we had another little note there, but
you know, Nico Noir, when you were saying you were talking about the song Bedpop, you're like, I don't really know, what you do. She says, I'm happy to show you what we do. So yeah, I'm sorry, but We Will Not Be Forgotten. When I start hearing that song, right, I place a lot of, as a writer, as an artist, and as someone who can connect with people, being remembered is something important to me. Leaving a legacy. So
and it's
in
all fool's errand. It will,
yeah,
I
yes.
mean, who's, like I read this article that was talking about who's going to be the, like who's the guy who writes the marches? Nelson Riddle?
Hmm.
No, I'm
Wait,
not thinking.
wait,
Who?
wait, hold on.
Sousa. John,
Tuesday.
my sources here tell me John Philip Sousa. And like, who's going to be the John Philip Sousa of rock and roll? Is it Chuck Berry? Is it Elvis? Is it the Beatles? And even them, I mean, who listens to John Philip Sousa? Even these guys in 100 years, who's going to be listening?
Yeah.
Certainly not going to be listening to Dan Killian and the Million Man Band, however big this suddenly breaks through. It will all be forgotten. And can you name your great grandparents? Maybe you've been on that trek, but I can't.
Mm. That's
I
why it's so important. We have to live in the now.
You got to
Love
live in the now
now, and
because
that's
there's
why I saw you. Like, for the perfect example, I wanted you on this show because I wanted you to know that with I appreciate the music, and I think that other people I appreciate what you do, and other people should. If I don't take that moment to do it, it would never happen. You gotta live in the now, take advantage of it. I
got
wouldn't have fucking I wouldn't be here today if I didn't live in the now and do what I had to do to get over the liver transplant. That's why I love your music, Dan. All right, let's go on. Let's go on. All right,
quick
Bedpop,
point,
Bedpop.
quick point, quick point.
Yeah,
Philosophically, I'm there. Emotionally, no. I'm super
yeah.
bummed that I'm not famous
Me
and
too.
popular, and rich, I'm super bummed about that. But I'm also philosophically, I know how pointless that is. And so,
Yes.
you got to live in the pointlessness. But you got to make your own point. I guess that's what the
And
philosophers
I think just
would
like
have to
connect
do.
with as many people as you can.
Yeah.
You have your art, connect with as many people as you can. That's really all you can do. You know, um, All right, let's talk about is there a story, right? Or inspiration behind or we did that. Okay. Let's talk about the case. Let's talk about the case. So you grew up in New York?
What I grew up in Connecticut.
You grew up in Connecticut.
Yeah,
And when did you start what instrument did you originally fall in love with?
had to be guitar, but it was unreciprocated love because I never really have mastered any instrument. I'm a songwriter, faking it on everything I touch. I feel like I can make music with anything, but I also will never be a master.
As a songwriter, there for example, Coco Haynes of the Ets is a friend, and she did an amazing version of "Love Lies Bleeding," and I think it's Peter Holinoff. Holinoff is the guy. I forget the original version of it, but it's
Love Lies Bleeding.
"Love Lies Bleeding," and it transcends the.
Are we talking about Elton John's thing?
No. Here,
No.
I'll find out the one I want. It's because as a songwriter, the original version, right? Love Lies Bleeding. There's the Elton John version. There's I forgot his name. Polinoff, I think is I don't know, but the Ets, Coco from the Ets does it. Other people do covers as well. Johnny Cash did what's it Hurt by Nine Inch Nails and all this stuff.
Really
People
good version.
people cover things all the time to make it better. I have to admit, Jane's Addiction version of Sympathy for the Devil is incredible. The original one that they did on that live album. There are certain songs that it brings it a whole new life. Who do you want? Who would you like to cover your songs, and how would you like to have them be covered?
Oh, well, I am planning an album once I get my production skills really down. I want to do ladies. I want women to sing my songs. Uh,
Yeah.
I got a project in mind. It's all again, still scheming, still striving, despite my philosophy, two heads. But I want to have 11 lovely ladies singing Dan Killian songs as an album, and get some up and coming people to do it. Can I think of an actual singer star that I would love to have sing my tunes? Uh, you know, uh, it's funny when Scarlett Johansson did that cover of Tom Waits songs. It wasn't really my favorite record, but I like the idea of a sultry
Oh yeah.
voice, woman singing your tunes.
Kate Moss. Kate Moss did Some Velvet Morning with Primal Scream. It is
Yeah.
great. Yeah. What about I could see
Part
it
of,
here.
part of me wants the Dare. I want the Dare to do my tune.
How about I
He's
think
got songs.
Janine Garofalo should do a song. Coco from the Ed should do a song. We can get what about Courtney Barnett?
She's never gonna do my song,
Amy,
but she
this
should.
is a whimsical
But
show.
she's
We can daydream
she's
here.
such a songwriter.
We can
Courtney.
daydream here. Yeah, Courtney Barnett.
Yeah. If she
Amy
did
Mann.
it, every time I see a band that's on their way up, I kind of want, by the time, uh, Courtney Barnett, that would be something else.
Have you heard Sweet Spirit or A Giant Dog?
I've heard Sweet Spirit. They're great. Every time
Yeah,
I close my eyes,
yeah.
that would be great.
I could see that. I could tell. Giant Dog is the same people, but it's not as produced and polished. It's more a heavy guitar, but the same singer, same people. It's just like a different sound, kind of.
King Gizzard and the
similar.
Lizard Wizard. It doesn't make sense. Some of it doesn't make. I'm trying to think of something that would actually make sense.
Bjork.
No,
How about Bjork? Bjork doing Bedpop, the song Bedpop.
Yeah,
Bjork.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I would rather collaborate with those people on a new tune. I would like to get Ariana Grande to sing my
Dolly
tune.
Parton covers everybody's stuff.
Get Dolly to
Get
jump on it. You know,
All right.
you have a
So
you have a great performance left in her, probably.
all right, let's talk about the K's. How did you form the K's? Forming a band is it's all right. I've been in several bands. I've been in a band called Bleach Jeans and a band with my brother called Enkephalins. And forming a band is a whole other
Keys
thing.
is a name. Enkephalin's a little. I still don't know what the word is.
Enkephalins is like endorphins that they produce opiate like effects.
Well,
So it
that's
is a
kind of
weird
cool.
noise rock trip hop. All we had was like samples, and we had a guitar, bass drum, and a drum set, and a bunch of samplers. You know, so we made weird stuff, all drugged up. But yeah, getting a band together is difficult. There's schedules, there's personalities, there's money, there's talent. There's how the hell did you get this together?
Well, there's
and make a song and make an album called "Can't Get It Together."
Well, that title really does speak to a lot of my life. But there's two different versions of that band that kind of came out. First, the first thing I did was when I moved to New York, I just joined a band and tried to take over a band. The Splurge, the Super, I think it was called Superload. It's not even in the discography. I don't think we even recorded. It was called Superload and Splurge, and then we broke up, and then I did Craigslist. That was back when Craigslist was how you got people together.
Yeah,
and we auditioned members, and I did get the guitarist from the previous band to come join at one point. We was originally a 4-piece, all just guys that got together through Craigslist. The guitar player, it was becoming like a Wilco thing. You remember that scene in that Wilco?
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever see the Wilco documentary when the poor guy is like really not jiving well mentally with you can see what's his name, the Wilco guy, the main guy, just going, oh, we're gonna be firing this guy soon. And we got the original guitarist from this previous band, so there was a little bit of overflow, but then that whole thing kind of petered out. And then my friend Dave Benjoya, who was an active creator in the Freddy's things. A lot of these things need someone else to put it together, and because I can't get it together. But this guy, he had a community at the original Freddy's bar. Freddy's bar had a music scene, and this guy was tapped in. He knew musicians, he knew horn players, he knew great bass players and drummers, and he put together this, I think it became a 14-piece, it was a very broken social scene kind of, sprawling conglomerate of people to be that second album we made, which was I Can't Get It Together, with the horns and everything. That was a really nice piece of product. And
I'm gonna try to.
Then he went to, I forget when he moved to Germany. My friend Dave, he had to leave. There was too many guitars, and that left it with me in control. And so of course everyone just kind of sloughed off, and we broke down to a 5-piece. We had one horn, and we made another album. And the drummer died during that period, and that was deeply sad. And it kind of became the Red Numbers Rising Faster became kind of and there was definitely a death theme to the whole thing. I was feeling my death at that time, and then someone actually died during the production of that album. But here we got Can't Get It Together. It's you got the title track is just about failing to get it together, and all the different ways, with your family, with your friends, your inability to connect. Then the last trip to the well is about being on your last dollar, being on your last drink.
13 Steps was one that really hit me hard, because I was drinking way too much. at the time. But
And
I was drinking way too much.
it's kind of like and I think I was drinking too much at that time. But I, it's kind of like my relationship to the kink community. Bit of a square, kind of just making it up, as I imagine what it's really like, because I never been on a program.
Mm.
I had the I guess the fortunate, I aged out of the heavy drinking thing where my body just refused to let me recover.
Yeah.
Some people can just power through and get to the next drink. My hangovers became so bad that I just, everything. I still drink sometimes, but
You know what's
it's like a religious. Like I have to have food in my belly, lots of water. Can't can't do these tasty IPAs. Um,
Mhm.
it hurts my head. It hurts my head. So I have to really. I've just been forced to moderate. So I'm lucky because a lot of my attitude would have led me to having a new liver if I had a different kind of constitution.
Yeah.
It's just a luck of the draw that I think that my body started telling me, nope, you're not going to drink so much, Dan. There's too many 3-day hangovers for you. And at
As a
this
songwriter, though, I have to admit, as a songwriter, you really captured,
that
in a very
hopeless
universal
feeling.
way. Yeah, you captured the feeling, the struggling of, yeah. Definitely, anyone who's struggling with alcoholism should definitely check out the song 13 Steps.
I think
I have a quick thing about your name, the K's. Now, okay, I become Nicholas Tannic, right? And you're always in my mind. I'm always listening to the album, right? And then, you know, I I look you up and oh, okay, yeah. And then all of a sudden on my feed, there's another band called the K's. And I'm like, wow, Dan Killian's really doing well. They're opening up for James. And I'm like, they're in
no, that's the
Scotland. I
English
was
K's. They're the ones that
like,
still exist. Yeah, it's very hard to find the K's. Uh, you know, um, and it's funny. We The K's can't get it together. Um, one of the things. Previous album was called Skunk. That
yes.
had a song called Shirikeen. It's pretty killer. And that was the 4-piece. This is the 14-piece. Often 11, but I think one of the things when you'll see, I see that K apostrophe S, and it's like the Eagles. It's like Eagles. Don Henley gets angry when people say the Eagles. I'm
Oh,
like that apostrophe S. That's not right. We don't have an apostrophe.
you don't
Even
have
on the
okay.
title of this album, Can't Get It Together, there's an apostrophe. So I was like, we're done with punctuation for a period there. And I was like, we're not doing that. And that'll be our thing, and didn't even nail that. So, but yeah, there's the K's. From England. They're still out there. I end up on a lot of their. It's like I'm
I
Polish.
actually I actually reached out to them thinking they're you.
Yeah,
Say like I wrote them a letter saying like I don't know if you remember me, but you sent me the album. Can't get it together. I'm a fan. I'd love for you to.
there'd be social media things where I wod pop up and go, here's, and I'm like, no, that there'd be a link to them, and I'd be like, you got the wrong K's, here, but
But keep in mind, I was going through a liver transplant. I was out of my mind, like legally and by hospital design, psychotic on medication. You know,
mhm.
and who knows what other emails I sent to people that I got wrong. All right, so let's keep it back. So
and there's also KS. Chaos, I think, is a rapper.
oh, I'm not even familiar with that
So
one.
it's like I have thought about re-releasing all the K's material as Dan Killian and the Million Man Band presents the K's. I want to kind of keep their legacy, these guys that worked on the
You may
project.
have to do that.
But is that even too sketchy? But I kind of want to keep the songs alive, because there's a good batch of material there that's it's becoming very obscure to find. It's difficult to find out there, and part
I
of me
tried to
wants to
find it on
re-release it.
the I tried to find it on the internet just to bring it up on the show, and I couldn't.
It's there. It's there. It's on all the streamers. It's streaming wherever streams are streamed, but
Yeah.
it's at the
Stream
bottom
it.
of the list. You gotta say you pretty
You
much
gotta
gotta
look
put
for it.
my name in there, and spell it right.
Yeah.
One L and Killian, secretly Polish. Secretly Polish. I also it's like I also get a lot of mail for Armenian people.
Mm. Now,
Killian.
one thing that I'm always interested in is this whole your kinky friends thing is about people and community. And, it takes work to put on a show to get a bunch of dominatrixes together on one stream to talk about something. You know what I mean?
Organize them. I'm sure
It's hard.
they seem artistic.
How do you keep a band together?
You don't. You fail. It falls apart. It falls apart. After this album, a lot of the players dropped, and were briefly replaced, and down to one horn. And boy, there's a difference between a horn section and a single horn player.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like suddenly we're Supertramp, and we did good things. We got him on some keyboards and stuff like that, but it falls apart. And at some point there was a real hey, I'm not having fun with this anymore, and I'm not a truly do it for the fun kind of guy. I am always trying to let's get this thing rolling kind of thing, failing at that, and then why are we failing at that? All this nonsense that organized people do get together.
That's a good question, though. I mean, that brings up the question about, like, all right, so you have a certain song in mind, you have a certain sound in mind, from beginning to end. I'm sure you open it up for other interpretation and input from other people, but this is your song, right?
Yeah.
How do you deal with other influence of people like, oh, I want it this way or I want it that way? And how strict are you into making it fun versus like this has to be perfect?
I'll tell you, I have failed. You need to make it fun. You need to make it fun. You need to get other people's creative input in, and that's very hard, and it's very hard for me as a songwriter. And I think that's what kind of we hit a point where and I'm such a taker. These guys had learned a good 27 of my songs, and they knew a bunch of songs, but we couldn't learn a new one. They just hit the saturation point. And I was like, here's a new song. And, and if a song sort of follows the same chord progression as, some Van Morrison song, you don't want it to sound, don't play the lick from the, play the arpeggio from, Brown Eyed Girl. If it's following the GC thing, figure out something else, and, that becomes, it's like, we can't learn a new song. And at the point I was doing songs with the guy, Dave Benjoya, who put together the Can't Get It Together version. We were working on Sam Cedar's show. We were giving him songs, little political parody songs about Herman Cain and stuff like that. That's that period.
Shout out to Sam Cedar too. Shout out to Sam Cedar.
Yeah. Good guy. Good arguer. And
he's great. Did you see him talk to all the MAGA heads in one shot?
The MAGA head, yeah.
That was insane. I felt for him. Like my heart went out to him. Like, why are you putting yourself through
intellect
that?
versus emotion? I mean, how are they ever going to really truly connect? I don't know, but it's tough. That frustration.
Shout out to Sam.
Yeah.
What about performances? Live performances? Were there any kind of memorable, live performance that you had that you're like, this is insane, or I'm gonna remember this for the rest of my life, or people should remember this?
There's one that, when Dave Campbell, the drummer from these two albums, the Can't Get It Together and Red Numbers Rising Faster, when he died, we put together an evening of kind of tribute to him, and we had to have guest drummers play with us, and that was I'm conflating two different moments, to be honest.
Right.
That was a great show. That was a sad, it's very beautiful. Someone had made a movie that had been about someone else, but he was such a character, this guy, that he was like, oh, I got all this material on this guy, cut it together, and they showed a little movie about this guy and Dave Campbell. What a weird, wonderful spirit, and just a beautiful person. And it's possible that we may have killed him by making him play a 4-hour gig. And that was another great night. The gig we played in, like doing a bunch of cover tunes, trying to play in a bar in Queens here down the road, the Diving Bell. We played just 4 hours, and he was just, he was already sick with cancer, and we just really pushed him to the limit. And there's always the question, did we kill Dave?
I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't think so. But
I don't think
so. But we did push it. We tired the guy out. I don't know. I think we all were a little,
I love to talk with musicians about movies, about music, right? You were talking about a documentary. So are there any films, documentary or real or fiction, whatever, that you feel represent what it's like being in a band, or not just being a band, or being an artist, or being a musician, or something like that?
That's real tough. I think Song Street.
I haven't seen that one.
It's like, is it Dutch? Is it Swedish? It's some country. Scottish? I don't know. No, I think it's It might be Scottish. Yeah, because they're speaking in English. I just remember it was like, and it's like the 80s, and he forms basically every band that's influencing him. Every song that he does, they're good songs, but they're, so clearly influenced by the last band he's just been listening to. And like his brother's like, the jury's still out on Duran Duran, but they do have a killer bass player. And then he's saying, the jury's still out on Duran Duran. And sometimes I say, the jury's still out on Duran Duran, who I love. But
her name is Rio, and she dances
on the
sand.
Underrated lyricist, I think. Simon Le Bon. He wrote some pretty good high school poetry kind of stuff that really.
The reflex. Dave Chappelle is making fun of the reflex. Is hilarious.
I mean, I don't know what it all means, but I felt like that guy's got some good lines.
Some of the films that I absolutely love about music is, of course, 24-Hour Party People.
Yeah, when you said the Happy Mondays and stuff, I was like, did you see that 24?
Love that movie.
Yeah,
the 24-Hour Party People is just something that, of course, there's I gotta admit, Dewey Cox, Walk Hard, the John C. Reilly.
Yeah. It does.
And you never shared any of the drugs. And even Spinal Tap. They're making a Spinal Tap too, I think,
that's coming out soon, I think. But
yeah. So with bands, one thing I love about bands just like the theater, there's a camaraderie, there's a connection, whether you like it or not, even after it's over, even if you hate each other.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always like an inside joke, something connected. So is there like some kind of inside joke or quirky moment from your time with the K's?
Well, I did, my first solo record, which is Dan Killian and the Million Man Band, is called L, because my band was the K's.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
So, and there's a song on that about the experience of being in the band, called "Too Good to Give Up, Too Hard to Take."
It's heartbreaking, right? Because having that, but you have the music, what you did create. That's captured, and it
really spoke to. We talked about it. It was like this is too good. We were good as a band. We nailed our stuff.
It's a great record, and I think that everyone should check it out.
Yeah.
Now, here's I asked the important questions. Who's Eliza Lynn?
It's my girlfriend. It's nobody. It's so many of these things are just. I'll tell you what Eliza Lynn is 4 syllables.
Yeah.
Yes, I counted right. I'm so proud of myself. It's 4 syllables, and for so long, that song was la 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 Who has 4 syllables that
Love the
follows
saloon
that?
version. That's my favorite version.
It had to be that way. And so I just carved it out of sound. So there is no Eliza Lynn, other than, conflating my own
Great pop song.
girlfriend with some uh, imagined femme fatale who destroys my life. You know how they do.
Yep. Now, election night, especially this year, wow, this song hit hard. Wow, for anyone who doesn't know, please check out Election Night by the
Pretty good
Case.
song. Pretty good song. Yeah, I gotta have to re-release all this stuff because it's so hard to find. I'll do presentation, which means I have to figure out how to, can I find the original tracks and master them? It's gonna be a tough project, but I do want to get them out there. And I don't want to.
like. For those who don't know, the song, correct me if I'm wrong, but the narrator's talking about a man who lost the election.
He's lost the election. Yeah,
he's lost the election, and and the emotion, the whirlwind of emotions that you have to unpack with that, and that really captures what's going on in the country now. And one thing I love about the song is it's timeless. You can play it every 4 years.
Will it be? Will it just be coronation night? I mean, we don't know. I think we get it back. I think these guys are so incompetent and so cruel that some people love all that action, that get it done thing, but these sons of bitches, they need to go down, and they're going to send troops. They're going to send troops during the election. There'll be troops, shaking us down at the lines, trying to scare people out of line, and we got to stay in line. I hope that democracy holds. Otherwise, we're going to have to do it by other means. But
I hope so too, my friend. I have to admit, though, I was proud of people going out all across the country this weekend, showing up, speaking their truth. You know what I mean? This is what we need. So
yeah, his parade was not a big event, was it?
Let's get positive. Airborne. I'm in love, Dan. And this song, right? So I come out of liver transplant. I come out of a very dark situation. The kink community saves me, right? Moves me out in the situation, and it gives me the foundation to start my life again. I put on this song now. I don't know if you know anything about coming out of a life-changing transplant or a situation like that, but your senses are heightened, So for me these days, like the movie Spinal Tap, everything's up on 10, right? The volume 10. Water tastes watery, more wet than usual. Happiness is much more happiness. Sadness is much more sadness. The human touch feels, but the sound. I hear music, and so here I am. I'm falling in love, and you come out with this song called Airborne, a single. I love that it's a single. It's like it's too good for an album. It has to be on its own almost.
It's too long for an album. I was going to stick it on this last one. I was like, everything else is 2 minutes, and this 5-minute thing is I think it's going to have to be its own baby.
And it's also something good for like an atmospheric track as well, which is I respect that. A lot of people think, because you are a pop song, you write pop songs and all this stuff like that, but like you really embraced the elegance of the atmosphere in the track, especially with the psychedelic aspects with the sounds. Very well done. I highly recommend everybody check out Airborne.
I feel pretty good about, because I mean, part of, I think, since I left the K's, I've been like, I'm a hip hop act, I'm making, cut and paste music and chopping sounds together. And this is one where I think I actually got that because it's all an experiment at that point. It's like, can I chop up a sound? Take a long vocal thing, chop that into a couple little bits. So it goes and then put an echo on that. Can that make a cool sound? Can you make a cool sound out of that? And I think in this case, maybe I did.
And if it's any consolation, some of my friends indulge, or let's say imbibe, in medical marijuana, and that enhances sounds. And wow, I've been told, word on the street is that airborne sounds great while you're high.
Okay.
So, all right, let's
there.
say you only have one instrument for the rest of your life. You're stranded on an island or something like that. I don't know. You're in space, but acoustics work, and you have one instrument. One instrument. What do you use?
Is it a microphone? Can I use the microphone? Can I
You want to
use
use
a
it as an
microphone and
instrument?
a
Sure.
computer on a computer? If I've got a microphone, I don't need the instruments. I could just go wog. There's some leads on Bedpop that are just me going whoa 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 whoa, whoa and pumping it through something. And that's how you make music these days. I'm never going to be able to play the guitar like who's a great guitar, Joey Santiago or something like that. I'm just never going to be able to. What?
Pixies.
So much, the rock and roll comes from the Pixies.
Yeah.
I was
So
just watching
have you heard
Radiohead. Anyway,
have you heard Scratch, the art of instrumentation?
I think you broke up there. But I'm almost sure that even if I heard it clearly, I didn't. Scratch the Alchemist. What?
No, Schools of Thought. He's from the Roots. He Rozelle and the Roots, they're all beatboxers. He made a whole album. Check this out. A whole album of all the beats are done.
What? Word.
It's done with the voice.
What? Yeah.
I think Tom Waits does some of that too. On Real
it's pretty wild.
And it's part of me wanted to do nothing but that, and it can bump up into limitations. And when you've got machines that can give you a beat and a something with a drumstick, I've been I've had processed beats. I tend to feel like you had to sample some actual beats and chop those and stick them in with it, because if you're doing it on the computer, everyone's heard that sound over and over again. So you got to break it up somehow. So do something with your mouth. Do something with a stolen thing to give it an organic sound. Or as I've done lately, is just playing some drums and chopping that up because I can't really play in time. I'm getting a little better. I'm in a supergroup now, and part of the thing is I'm playing a little drums.
Supergroup. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But one thing I do want to, before I forget, we're talking about movies. There's a movie called Dig, a documentary about the Dandy Warhols and Brian Jonestown Massacre, which it's on Canopy now, the 20th anniversary of it. I was doing PR for
Pretty good movie.
See, I think it's an excellent movie, especially when Anton makes what's it? That song about his mother and father. Say goodbye to mom and dad, the two best friends I never had. That one, he makes it himself, and he just chopping up loops of him like he's playing the drums, and it sounds like ridiculous, but then you put it all together, and it's this beautiful song. All right, we all have horrible shows. We've all been in the microphone. Something goes wrong. Either the mic's wrong. There's a jerk in the crowd, right? There's something like money, weather. Something always goes wrong. What's your worst show? What happened, and how'd you deal with it?
Well, one of the things that helped the K's break up was a show we did on some place on Houston Avenue, and I don't think it's there anymore. I don't remember the name of the bar, but I do remember just how empty this place was. It was just us, and we've done the thing in various things where there's no audience, and we just rocked that house, whoever that dude was, you know. I think there's a pretty great story about some band that I can't remember any of the details, but there's some band that actually does make it by rocking really hard this one dude, and that one dude happened to be an industry guy and got them something. But we would, we try to rock the dude if it's just the dude. But boy, this time it was just, one person, like the sax player's girlfriend, and that was about it. And it just felt really bummy. And you had this view of Houston, and this bus would come up every 10 minutes. We were pretty low. I think we booked the night or something like that. We had a long night, and every 10 minutes, and every time that bus came up, I thought I could just go out there and get on that bus and leave.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do it every time the bus came by, and that's who I was singing to that bus, and that was a rough night. That was a pretty bad show. I dreamed. What?
Well, tell us about the
supergroup is me, Matthew Leonard, and Eric Turzo, who refuses to understand that his last name is a band name. But he's in a group called Dime Store District, and he recorded a video, made a video for Alligator Man from Too Much Entertainment, which is also a pretty good record. I've known these guys from running a not a talent show, a open mic. And this guy would show up and play some songs, and then he's helped me out a lot in time. And I played on his piano for the previous album. There's a song which I highly recommend, called "Woe Is Me, I'm Depressed," and it's probably my best piano work. And I'm just jabbering. Me, this guy, and this other guy, we're getting together and we're having fun, and it's the most having fun in a band that I think I've had in a very long time. I've had fun with the previous band that I am currently in, the one that we recorded, the Angie Pandoris and the Portal of Time. That's a whole different band. It's a pretty fun experience too. I'm trying to have more fun and less, we got to get this thing done. Because that is something in my nature, even though
I get that. I'm like
a bad organizer, but I want to organize, I've actually been having fun with music, with the musicians I've been playing with of late.
That's beautiful. That is really beautiful. Let's talk about opening acts. Ugly Duckling. I don't know if you're familiar with the band, the hip hop group Ugly Duckling. They have a great song called Opening Act. And it's all about opening act. Like, no one's in the crowd. There's like So you were an opening act. You've had opening acts for you. Let's talk about that. First of all,
I had Jeffrey Lightning Lewis. I don't. You hesitate. When we play out, there's no headliner. Headliner is a lie. It's a bill. But I booked the show. I got Jeffrey Lightning Lewis on. He's written some nice articles for the Times about music and stuff, and he's got his own legacy, part of the anti-folk scene. Some people would know him, and we opened up for Dred Zeppelin back before any of these bands. I was in a band in Kentucky. I lived in Louisville, Kentucky for a number of years. I was in a band called The Uglies. Again, some music that hasn't been that you can't find. You can't find The Uglies. Yeah, no, that's that's a previous band of mine. And there's some recorded stuff. I'll compile it at some point and release it out on the streamers. When I figure out how to do that, when I'm most of the time I'm writing songs. I put a lot of energy into writing songs, recording the songs. So I don't have a lot of time to go back and discover the old stuff and put it back out there. But I do want to at some point get it out there.
Now, what do you do if you find there's a documentary called A Band Called Death, I don't know if you're familiar with the band Death, but there were three brothers, and in the 70s they like invented punk rock music before punk rock music, right? And then they found the tapes. So I was in a band. And I'm sure you have old tapes. What do you do when you find old tapes of your work? I mean, how do you save them? Do you want to sit like what? There's a whole. It's like a whirlwind of things going on. As soon as you find something that's really old, right?
There's a reason this Bedpop album is out so soon after Angie Pandora's. I should still be promoting Angie Pandora's, but I had to get it out because I do not hold on to that stuff well. I do not keep track of stuff. My basements get flooded. I've lost stuff. I don't think, there's a disc, probably a CD-ROM. Yeah, I have to buy a machine just to play it, right? I don't how am I going to even play this thing? But then
I have a like a cassette. But Kevlin stuff is on a cassette, 90 Maxwell cassette. That's gonna sound like garbage. Right, let's talk about musicals.
Somewhere there's a VHS tape of like the only video I made with the Uglies. It was a pretty good video. It was like we're all wearing Spider-Man masks and stuff like that. I kind of want to get that out there, but where is it? It's in these boxes in my storage room that has become some people call it a junk room, but it's a storage room.
You write musicals.
Angie Pandora's is a musical.
Yes, Angie Pandora's and the
Portal of Time. For a long time, the working title was Space Chick. Call it Space Chick and the Portal of Time. And we realized that for one thing, not everyone likes the term chick, and nope. It just sounds kind of 70s, and that's not really the vibe we're actually going for. So I had to come up with Angie Pandora's. Pandora's box. Clearly Angie kind of just David, we were trying to do sci-fi rock, so let's reference David Bowie however possible, and that's Angie, his first wife, and the Portal of Time. It's all a story about and this is I made a musical, Waste, Fraud, and Abuse. We had a 3-weekend run, and that one was about politics. That was your election night gone wrong. Basically, it was about a rich couple who got a divorce and decided to have rival presidential campaigns, and that came out right during 2016. It was like right before the election, and people come up to me all the time saying, "Boy, you saw it all coming, didn't you?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't. It's nothing, it's George W. politics back when that was the evil." And that was pretty evil. Let's, we're going to revisit that and remember. Right now, it's being seen with nice eyeglasses, but wasn't good. And laid a lot of the groundwork for this kind of fascism that we have now. So that was successful. And I was like, oh, I guess I'll just do that every year. And then, 8 years later, here we are with Angie Pandora's, not truly a musical on the play, not on the stage yet, but we do have the proof of concept, which was the recording. This is like our Who's Tommy kind of thing, and it's got a bunch of songs. We're probably gonna have to cut some of the songs. I think we've got 21 songs on this album, but it's all about this woman who is basically living interstellar at first. They're trying to find habitable planets, but then she crash lands on a desert planet and has to go back, find a way to blast herself, and she manages to blast herself back to the dawn of time, the birth of the universe, re-experiences the entire life of the universe and the Earth and Earth's history, and then her own life, and then still has to go and deal with the love triangle. It's got a pretty epic concept. Everything, all the time, lived in fast motion and little highlights, blurbs. The book's got a little problem. There's a problem with the book, and I just managed to pull the script back out onto this guy from the dying computer. So I'm about to revisit. I now have the actual book, the libretto. Is that the term I'm looking for? Anyways, the script.
So what advice would you give me? I'm writing a musical, but here's the problem. I don't have music.
Find a collaborator. Find someone who will write you music.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about.
That's what this whole interview has been about.
I think that I really think you might want to take a look at this, because I want to make a musical about Mischief Manor, which is the dungeon, and we love musicals. Yeah, when we have musicians and everything like that, but I started writing a script, and we have something to represent not only the manor, but represent the community and what it kind of represents, and also that do-it-yourself, getting people together to do something, So I don't know. Hopefully, maybe we can make this happen. Let's talk about spaghetti grenade.
You were talking about what inspires you. I'll tell you. I do write a good on assignment. I write well on assignment. So if you want me to write you a song,
you did Sunday service. That was awesome.
that kicked out pretty quickly, right? I think. So give me a topic. Give me some of the text. I'll turn it into a song. I don't know if I can arrange a musical, because it took me, it's taken me a number of years to get back on the ball for the second musical. I've also got another one that I wrote with Dave Benjoya, my other partner, about a pigeon. And I was like, I'm gonna get my thing first, and then we'll do our thing. And then my thing has held up our thing. I think the other thing would be easier staged. But anyway,
a pigeon in New York.
A pigeon that wants to. It starts out in New York, but he wants to.
Fly.
He wants to migrate.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Let's talk about spaghetti grenades.
I got Jill Biden over here helping me out with my turn. No, it's true. It's true. I'm losing my wordy maker is not all it used to be. And but he wants to migrate and joins the migration, and then has a series of calamities along the way, and runs into a kind of fascist farmer.
We gotta move it along. What is spaghetti grenades?
Spaghetti grenades is comedy bits. It's when I'm not trying to record songs, I kind of do little bits and little funny voices, and it's my audition for Saturday Night Live that'll never happen. But it's I think it's pretty. I try to stay out of the politics with the spaghetti grenades, just because I'm trying to make timeless comedy, and so I'm just trying to hit concepts and whatever I think is funny.
What's with the Hitler fascination?
Hitler, isn't he the main bad guy?
He is. He's a horrible person.
Yeah, really bad. And I think the sketch I've got on that one is Hitler finds out, and I might have tried to edgelord the whole thing, going, there's a lot of Hitler, but it's the main sketch that I've got with Hitler is Hitler finds out. And the real question is, what's my fascination with Star Trek? Because it's like the episode where the alien rounds up the good people and the bad people, and he's coming to Hitler going, we have chosen you to represent evil.
He's like, oh, I'm evil.
Hitler doesn't know.
No,
Hitler thinks he's good. Right?
It reminds me of the
guy in charge right now. He probably thinks he's good.
Yeah, he thinks they're righteous.
Some love, he knows how bad he is.
I know. You have to, right?
He's just an ugly muck of a person. But Hitler, I think, thought he was making Germany great.
Yeah, he saw it.
Maybe he thought that all those things that he did, he thought were for the benefit of the world. And so when he finds out that he's evil, it's just like a wave. It's just him going, oh, that's the bit. It's mostly Hitler going, oh, and then finally making peace with it. Like, get me a spear, get me a good spear.
There's a BBC show called That Mitchell and Webb Look, and it has like the Nazis, and they're there, and they're like, wait a second. And he goes to the other Nazi. He's like, I think we're the bad guys. I don't want to be the bad. What the fuck's going on? I think we're the bad. Like, yeah. So, okay, music word association. I'm gonna say a musician or an artist or something. You say the first thing that comes into your mind. First thing. There's no wrong answer. Okay. And this is I'm doing this off the top of my head too. I don't know your influences, and I'm probably going to say some artists that you have no idea who they are. So if you don't say, just say you don't know. All right.
We'll I'm like you got into the music. I get into it. It's always 10 years after.
No, I'll keep it.
Remember discount bins?
Oh yeah, cutouts.
Yeah, that used to be my.
I love record store culture. Oh, I miss record.
So you have to have already failed as a artist in some degree, or just had too many copies. Anyways, hit me with some words. Hit me with some words.
All right. T-Rex.
T-Rex.
Yeah.
Bolin. Pure rock. The Rock. Possibly the most influential artist on me. At one point, I went through a huge T-Rex thing. Anyway,
Mambo Sun. Actually, Mambo Sun. The way that guitar just kind of gently just teases you through the whole entire song, right? The guitar just teases you through the whole.
It's just
great.
It's so just pure rock and roll. He is the embodiment of rock and roll. Pixies, so good. Pixies, touching. I have touched 3 out of 4 of the Pixies.
Yeah.
Me and Ray, the guitarist that was in the K's, we went to see the Pixies reunion show, and then at the end they were like, all right, now this is just for journalists. You get out of here. And we're like, we're journalists, the power of drunkenness. I know it's bad, but it can help you out through something. And I had actually interviewed him, so I was a journalist. I just didn't have the wherewithal to get a press pass, but I just went into the room and talked to 3 of them. Cure late coming to it. I was it was a little too precious for me going on. The Cure and the Smiths, I came around to many years later. Had to admit, there's something very good there. But at the time, they were just a little too fruffy for me.
Happy Mondays.
Black Grape. I prefer Black Grape to the Happy Mondays. Happy Mondays, I think I love that movie, 24-Hour Party People, and it made me want to like the Happy Mondays more. I do like the Happy Mondays. They are very fun, but I'm not as in love as I want to be with them. And I actually enjoyed Black Grape, them trying to be a little bit more hip hop, more. I don't know.
Black Grape has better beats. Well, overall,
it's sometimes it's hard to go back in time. The production levels are it's the whole thing with punk rock. Punk rock at the time felt like this, and then felt like the end of the world, and then you listen to it now and it just sounds kind of.
When's the last time you listened to 7 Seconds? Or
it's like
I think they put out a new album.
It's really so funny. But yeah, that and my listening is shallow on the Happy Mondays.
Okay, let's go on. Galaxy 500.
Groovy. I like Luna a little bit. I came to them through Luna, so it's like I don't.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. What about what?
They are. That is the same guy, right? It is.
Oh yeah,
that's
Dean Wareham. Dean Wareham.
Yeah.
Dean Wareham. Okay. All right. What about George Clinton, Parliament Funkadelic?
The word funky comes to mind.
Yeah, it should.
It's definite. We wanted to be that band as an indie rock kind of thing. We wanted to be James Brown. We wanted to be P-Funk. We wanted, but we didn't have the costumes. Weren't as funky. Not as funky.
You have the wedding dress. There's always like a guy in a wedding dress on the stage with like the 20 other people on stage just hanging out. All right. Word association. Music. Word association. Johnny Cash.
God, perhaps the voice of God, the
Yeah.
one of the greatest voices of all time. Really, that's who I would want to cover me. But it's gonna be tough at this point
Yeah.
for
Real
Johnny
tough.
to do
Well,
it.
AI.
But
AI,
oh
it's
yeah,
like one of those.
we get him and Elvis. Yeah, let's get Elvis to do it too. Yeah, I have thought about getting
Lazarlin.
Elvis.
Ooh, Lazarlin.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That definitely.
Yeah. All right. Word association. Word association. LCD sound system.
I've already said groovy, haven't I?
Yeah.
Uh,
You can say groovy.
influential. I want to be LCD sound system with a lot of my music, especially of late.
Mm,
I wanted to sound like the Dare, which just sounds like LCD sound system shorter, which is what I want to do. I want to, I mean, sometimes he's a little sprawling.
yeah. Some of the songs are
James
really,
Murphy
really
is it,
long.
is it the guy? Sometimes he gets a little he could find an editor, but his sonics are so great, drunk
Yeah.
girls, and
Yeah. Well,
the ability to take that thing and make it emotional and be able to as he started out kind of just making joke music, but the emotions kind of I think this is silver, this is happening or something like that. What
Sound of
was
Silver.
Sound
Sound
of
of Silver.
Silver?
Yeah.
Sound of
I
Silver.
personally love Someone's Great. I personally love that song.
Yeah,
Someone's Great.
that's a heartbreaking song, and
Yeah.
he's able to do it with just chopping up stuff and putting it in together. I mean, I guess there's a band.
Okay,
I
we're
don't
winding
truly
up.
know his technique, but he's very, very interesting cat.
We're winding it up. I want to let's say,
Okay.
Dan, you have endless resources. You could do anything you want, anywhere in the world, with anyone you want. Be whimsical. This is a fantasy show.
Yeah.
What is your ultimate creative fantasy?
Get Keith Richards and Tom Waits in the room with me. Get Wes Anderson to make a movie of Angie Pandoris, write songs with Tom Waits and Keith Richards, TV series about a TV series about a warehouse, a house that bites a man, and then every full moon he turns into a warehouse, and inside that warehouse are curiosities, which become the stories.
That's awesome. All right, rapid fire recommendations. This is rapid fire. All right. Recommend a song. Any song, anybody, by anybody. It doesn't have to be the be all end all. Just something. Hey, I think you'd like this.
God only knows. By the Beach Boys. That's what just came to mind. But there's
a great song.
A Dead Stick by the King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. I was just thinking, God damn, that's the best song.
Recommend a book.
The Fraction of the Whole. Keith Richards' memoir. I'm enjoying intensely. Savage Detectives by Roberto Bolanos is a lot of fun. There's a lot of sex. I'm not sure. I feel like there was. I went through a bunch of books that I put down, but I did like "And Then We Came to the End." Except it's not called "And Then." It's just called "Then." I had so much stuff with my book club because I kept calling it "And Then We Came to the End." It's about a advertising firm at the end of the .com bubble, and they're just all losing their jobs, and they see the end coming. And
I want to read that.
And it's in the first person plural, and it's about how we came to the end and how this company is doing these things. And then there's little stories within this kind of like, it has a very jokey tone, and then it gets very heartfelt. Like it a lot.
Recommend a film.
Casablanca. Casablanca's always the greatest film. You think about if America has a high point That might have been it. Most movies have one. Would love to have one catchphrase that gets repeated through time, and that movie has like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
And every time I think of that movie, I think of the song 2HB by Roxy Music. It's all about Humphrey Bogart. You know what I mean? All right. So, in what ways, we're finishing up, what
Okay.
ways can indie writers, filmmakers, musicians, indie creators, what ways can we help each other out? This is a paradigm shift going on in the creative world these days. AI, the government, everything. It's a mess. What can we do to help each other out?
I don't know. I'm bad at that. I'm bad at it, or I'd be doing more of it.
It's an honest answer.
To
I
be honest,
appreciate that.
what we do is we get on social media and we destroy whatever social
Each
media.
other.
We turn them all into MySpace. We're all
Yeah.
just going, listen to my song. Listen to my song. I have dreamt about like a quid pro quo, just to be really, because I think one of the things is with social media, people just want you to share who you are and what you are. And musicians don't really want to share who they are. They want to share their songs. That's
Their
where
art.
they did the sharing,
Because
their
that's
art.
their personality.
No one wants the damn art. They just want to hear you spill the tea,
or what they had for breakfast in the morning.
Yeah, that's what they want, and that's what people want. So if musicians had a quid pro quo thing, like, listen to my thing, and I'll listen to yours. Do a very, I mean, and I suspect that's not a good answer. Come to my show,
No,
be
actually,
my
that's
body,
a great answer.
be my audience, get points and get points, very, I suspect that that's not the true spirit, which one should.
No, that's the great answer. And I'm working on an art project here for YKF called Kink Helps Kink, the art, poetry, and music project. And it's the theme of it is the community helping each other. Write a song, write a poem, art, something about Kink Helps Kink. And it all starts from just supporting each other's work. It all starts from like listening to a song from somebody, especially someone or that you've met, and playing it for somebody else, right? Saying that, instead of complaining that this person's a piece of shit or this person's stupid or ugly, why don't you introduce something cool to somebody else instead? Yeah. Right? I think it all stems from that attitude. Like you said, it really does. If there's some kind of quid pro quo, share and stuff like that. So we're going to wrap it up.
All right.
Finish this sentence. Life is
tough.
Yes. That's true. How can people make your life less tough, Dan? How can people go to your website?
I could use listen. Someone listen to my tunes. I mean, that's all I really want is for people to hear the tunes, because I think they are worthwhile. I don't think I need to be wealthy or rich or beloved. I just want, I've got enough people that are dear to me that I can, be close to, small group, but enough. But the songs are out there, kind of turning into raisins on the vine, and they could use a little love. That's all. I just want people to listen to the tunes.
Dan, you wrote a song called "We Will All Be Forgotten."
We will all be forgotten. Forget about it.
For as long as I'm alive, though, I'm gonna remember you. I'm gonna remember your songs. They're gonna forget about me. I'm gonna die too one day. And they're gonna all forget about me. But for the time I'm alive, right, I'm gonna remember. Dan, thank you so much for being here. And where can people see you next? Where can people buy your albums? You can go to your website.
Streaming wherever streams are streamed. I'm still working on a live show. We're still getting together. The thing with the musicians, got to get the musicians together. Actually, with actual live musicians, I've got to put that together for this next Bedpop thing. I got to come up, got to be Radiohead learning how to play the songs. But nothing booked as of yet.
We can make that happen.
I'm gonna make it happen. I'll let you know. I'll plug it. Right, and let me know about your musical idea.
Oh, we definitely got to.
I'm good at writing songs on spec. I don't think I can put together a musical because it took me 8 years, but I could write you some songs.
Thank you very much. Oh, I love this. This is what it's all about. It's about people coming together, doing stuff creative. Even just talking about it, that energy, that's what we need. That's what's going to get us through, especially with everything going on in this country. Our
We got to
creativity,
fight the power. We got to fight the
our
power.
cre-
We got to come to our artists.
yes, our culture and our creativity
I do think there
is
will be
gonna.
an inflection point that we we're all gonna have to pick sides, and you can't just be this disinterested pop star anymore. I think you're gonna have to pick sides and try to develop this country. We're gonna
Julian
have to
Cope
go
said
into
it
the
best.
future.
Julian Cope said it best. It's a barbed wire fence. Which side you choose?
Yep.
Read a book, everybody. Your kinky friends, and also the coolest way to kill yourself. No one kills himself in the book. It's a metaphor. So yes, everybody, it's going to be a great weekend. Go out, be creative, write a song, write a poem, paint, sculpt, do something, please. Everybody, do something. But most importantly, be cool, be kind, keep an open mind.
I don't
Love
know.
you. Take care.
I'm